real estate. Today we're having fantastic guest speakers, Andrew from RealScout and Mark from HighNote and previously with Climb Realty. Very, very excited about our topic today. It's data intelligence, data scientists, how we can triple real estate sales with new approaches. And it will be a very practical conversation today on how we can leverage some of the tools that are available in the market today in order to produce more business in real estate. Thank you so much for joining us today. Andrew, Mark, could you please start a little bit with information about yourself and how did you get to your venture? How did you get there where really this data that we're able to track now everywhere is available to also influence real estate business?
Mark, why don't you kick it off?
Hey guys, thanks guys. Thank you, Natalia. Good to see you again, Andrew. Glad to be here, honored. Really appreciate it. Yeah, you know, I think we are really at scratching the iceberg, or the tip of the iceberg. We're really seeing the tip of the iceberg of how you can use data to sell more. And, you know, when we were at Climb, we were adopting a lot of great technologies. RealScout was one of them, and other types of technologies to use data to accelerate sales. And it could be anything from contact data, lead scoring, buyer intent, seller intent, social media type of data, website data, any sort of analytics or information that you can pull in to educate the agent as to intent of the lead. The technology is there, right? It's all over. The question is, how do you get it easy to use, easy to digest, and in front of an agent for practicality reasons? And so that's why we started our company. And that's why Andrew started his, right? I'm not gonna speak for him, but he's gonna say it. But there's so much to do. There's so much that can be done. And the trick is building technology that agents can use. Not because they don't know how to use technology, but it's my theory that they're too busy. They're too busy to try to set up and figure out things, put things together, configure things, install this extension, update their Chrome browser. They don't use Chrome, so they got to do a Firefox browser or whatever it is. It needs to be accessible. And that's our mission. And that's what any software vendor's mission is, to make it accessible to the agent.
Sure, I can share a little bit about how RealScout came to be. It's been a long haul. We've been doing this since 2012, so about 8 years now. And I got my start selling real estate at a young age. It didn't take me long to realize that I had very little data, very little insight on my clients. And the reason for that is my clients were searching on national search portals like Zillow and Realtor.com. I had no visibility into their search behavior. And I felt like because of that, I couldn't be the best agent, because I was working with a client who said they were looking in one market. Then I find out they're looking in another market, or maybe they even bought a home with another realtor. And so that was the impetus for starting RealScout. We thought that, hey, why don't we create a really sticky, really compelling search experience? And just in recent years, we realized that given our popularity in many US markets, we can now reveal a real-time pulse on homebuyer demand. And when enough people are using our product in a market, we can start to show buyer behavior, how it's changing. And that's become especially important during times of market uncertainty. During the pandemic, there's a lot of sellers who lack the confidence to put their home on the market because they have questions and they have fears that oftentimes can be addressed by data.
Absolutely. And the way we want to structure our conversation today is we're having 30 minutes discussion, then we'll have Q&A, and we'll invite speakers from Clubhouse for the Q&A session. And we also want to make a demo on our Zoom call today, very quick 1-2 minutes demo on the HighNote and RealScout, because we're hearing a lot of positive feedback on our community is how transformative these tools are in order to reveal data and user behavior. As you know, I'm the founder of Propy, and on our end, we also utilize a lot of data inputs, such as we track emails, who opens them and when. We use DocSend when we send presentations. We understand whether the recipient actually opened them, which pages they opened, how many minutes they stayed on this presentation. So knowing those tricks and those available tools allows anyone to understand the other side better. And now we're so fortunate to have tools that are very, very specific to real estate. So this is what we'd like to dive in today, so that we educate realtors. You don't have to be a nerd, an engineer, in order to capitalize on this data knowledge. So we'll show some videos, some demos today on the Zoom call. Meanwhile, please feel free to ask questions here on the Zoom or social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Twitter. Willie, would you like, my co-host Willie, would you like to ask your next question before we get to the demo?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I can totally relate. I've never sold real estate, but being in sales my entire career, you're always looking to those actions that identify a catalyst for, possibly somebody being ready to buy or put a house on the market. Crude example that's totally unsophisticated, but in a previous job, through our CRM, anytime an email was opened 10 times, we would get a reminder, a notification, because that usually indicated they were sending it throughout the office, they were looking at it, so it was a great time to call out. So I guess this is for either one of you. How do you identify and start to see what sort of actions are indicative of a client either being ready to list or buy? And then how do you track those and then put them into the system so that an agent can use them to help drive more business?
Andrew, you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I can take the lead on this. So for us, I think there's a couple ways to approach this question. First off, it's important to consider where your audience is coming from, because a lot of times agents are focused on the top of the funnel, right? How can I generate more leads? And we would argue that the time spent for most agents and teams and brokerage executives is actually better spent at the middle of the funnel, because that's where you have your sphere of influence, repeat business, referrals. And if you increase your closings from the middle of the funnel by even 5 or 10%, usually that is more from an ROI standpoint than increasing your SEO closings by 50%, because most people would be going from 0 to 0. And so the reason I bring all this up is because, at the middle of the funnel, there's a very different set of criteria that I would use to gauge how serious someone is. At the top of the funnel, you have a lot of looky-loos, you have a lot of tire kickers. It's probably harder to decipher who those high intent clients are. But at the middle of the funnel, you're already starting with a very high intent base. These are people who've risen their hands. They say, hey, I want to work with Mark. He's going to be my realtor. And that really speaks to how likely they are to convert into a commission. Now, once the client is on a system you control, that could be Boomtown, it could be HomeSpotter, it could be RealScout, then you have visibility into their search behavior. And for us, we talk a lot about intent. There are different levels of intent. For instance, if somebody looks at a property page or a listing detail page, as we call it, that's one shallow signal of intent. If they request a showing for that property, that becomes a much higher level of intent. If a client is requesting a showing and they want to take time out of their day to view a property, then we immediately think, okay, this is a client that's worth paying attention to. So I think there's different levels of intent, but it's important to first start with where are these folks coming from? And by definition, the folks who are already working with you are going to be higher intent.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll answer that by saying that our tool is essentially a presentation tool, right? It's a way to present yourself in a better light build something quickly, present yourself in a better light, differentiate yourself, and then get analytics as to what's being read. Now, it's used in many different scenarios, in buyer presentations, it's used in listing presentations, it's used in the middle of the funnel that Andrew is talking about. It's also used at the end of it. So I agree that it really depends where you are, working in the funnel. But this is why we built this tool, is because it gives you that insight for these leads that actually want to receive a pitch from you or a presentation from you. Are they actually reading it? Are they looking at page 1 and just closing it? Or are they going deep? Are they looking at the listing agreement, thinking whether they should sign this thing? These types of, we built this tool for that sort of flexibility so that you can decipher what leads to follow up on, who's real, who's not, and not waste your time. I mean, when we use RealScout, it was brilliant because a lot of buyers and sellers for that matter are watching the market, right? When they watch the market, you don't know they're watching the market if you're using something else, if they're going to Redfin or whatever. But when they come to RealScout and they click on, they start clicking on properties, they're looking at something. They're looking either what things are selling for, or they're considering buying. And it's a perfect way to, discover intent. So we have a different product and it's a different sort of use case, but they do the same thing. They tell you what the intent of that lead is.
Yeah, well, Mark, how about you actually show and explain now a little bit more about HighNote so that we can learn more. About 1 minute of explanation of the tool. For the folks on Clubhouse, in 20 minutes, we will invite you to the stage so that you can ask your questions. Please stay tuned. And for the folks here on the Zoom, Facebook, please don't hesitate and ask your questions.
Great. Thanks. I'm going to do it real quick. We could take a longer time at some other time if you're interested, but bottom line is this is a tool, a new product that we've been using to great success. A lot of agents have been on it for about a year. We call them our beta group, and they've been winning listings, winning offers, and winning buyers more than ever before. And what it does, it sets you apart. Bottom line, it differentiates you from the competition, and it creates a fantastic user experience for the reader, but also very easy to build presentations in it. This is an example of a pre-listing presentation where you send it out before you meet the seller, and it's about credibility setting. It's about why your brokerage, why your team, what you're going to do to get a better price for your home, etc. And building these presentations takes a lot of time for marketing teams and a lot of times for admin, and agents don't know how to do that, right? They don't have the time to build anything. So what ends up happening is an email full of attachments and links and videos goes out, and what happens? It's a black hole. You don't know what's being read. You don't know when, you don't know why, and you don't know exactly what's being read. You might know that the email's been open, but you don't know what pages they are checking out. And so this tool has been built from the ground up for real estate, the specific use case of real estate, to win more listings, win more buyers, and win more offers.
Can you show actually very quickly, for example, you set up this pre-listing presentation?
Absolutely. We've made it so easy for anyone to build. So I'm going to show you an example for Proppy audience, right? Yeah. And we have built-in stock photography in the tool, free. Yeah. I'm going to pick, let's say, San Francisco, and I'm going to start dropping in materials. And the materials are things that I always will send to people, like a CMA, perhaps, my brokerage listing presentation. I might send a market report. I might send a video. I might send my website, my testimonials. I mean, a million different things that you would set. And, you know, you could upload videos, you could link to videos, you know, you could upload tax record data, anything you want. The idea is flexibility. And let me see if I could find a video here, and I will, let me say, I'll do Alto's research video here. So let's just say I want to share this and put it in my presentation. Usually what you would do is email this to somebody and say, hey, this is the market. That's what's happening with the market. But I could include it in a presentation and wrap it all up, you know, property tax records.
Let's see preview and let's see how.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
how does it look like when someone receives it?
Oh yeah. So so what I'll do is I will send this to Natalia. What's your email?
CEO@proppy.com.
Perfect. So this is what you do: name, email address, and you could choose to password protect it, or you could choose not to and just have activity updates. I will send this off to you. Natalia, you open it, and I'll show you the analytics on my side so that we can demonstrate it.
Just a second, clicking my email, and we'll open now. Yeah, I got it.
Cool. And open it. We'll let the internet speeds catch up here and see. Did you open it? And open up the sections, look at it. You could see this is my history of analytics and activity, all the different presentations that we've sent over the years, sorry, months, we haven't been around that long, and what people are looking at. So Veronica, she looked at the signed agent inspection disclosure and then a sample offer letter here. Brandon, he looked at you know, another offer letter or sample, and let me refresh this, let's see. Natalia.
I'm still opening it, so it's HighNote.io and a unique link for my presentation.
Yep.
And the video will be there as, oh, okay.
The video is there, yep.
Awesome, yeah. So I can click view.
So here we go, okay, so it's got it. It says Natalia opened it one time. Now start opening up some of those assets, like the video, and then you'll see.
I did the video.
Cool. So it says that, you know, you checked out the video and you spent 15 seconds checking out the video. So, you know, it's very insightful. You know, the great thing is it shows you what not only is of interest to the reader, but what's not of interest. And that is very often telling. So if you send a listing presentation and you include 17 sections of marketing, how are you going to market a property, why you're the best agent, and then you include the value of the home in there, and then you notice that they only look at the value of the home, then you have some signals. The signal is that, hey, they're shopping you, right? They're just trying to see what you think the value of the home is. They don't really think that your services or your brokerage or your marketing is going to really have an impact. They just want to see the value, right? So then you know what kind of seller you might have or kind of lead you have. And then other times you see it the other way around. They want to see the sample marketing. They want to see your seller capabilities. And in fact, we did a study over all presentations over a 2-month time period, and we sort of categorized things. And I'm going to show this really quickly, but these were the...
Before we move, Mark, just to reset the room on Clubhouse, we're talking about data intelligence, how to triple sales with data insight, and we're having Mark and Andrew as our speakers. Please follow them. They are moderators here on Clubhouse, but you're listening to our voices through Proppy account because we are doing demos on our Zoom in parallel. So stay online and we'll be open for questions in about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I might be over my minute, so I could get to our presentation study in a little bit, but I wanted to give time for Andrew.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with Andrew now, because I'm sure folks are
impatient to also see how they can utilize data to get more buyers through RealScout. And then if we have more questions, we'll get back to this presentation. But that's awesome. I totally love it. I hope we can find a way to utilize it in Propi as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Mark. And Mark said he hasn't been around that long doing HighNote, but anyone would be fooled looking at the product, because the product is incredibly well polished and it really helps agents position themselves well. So as a segue into RealScout, in terms of putting your best foot forward and giving a professional and differentiated persona to your clients, I think one thing that happens all too often in real estate is that clients are used to searching for a home on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, you name it. And as soon as they start working with an agent, the agent invites them to technology that does not compete with the experience that consumers have come to expect on the portals. In other words, they're going to get an MLS link from you, and it's not going to work as well or be as intuitive as Zillow is. And that's a big problem in our industry, because in many ways, those portals drive a wedge between the agent and the client. And that's a problem that we wanted to solve at RealScout. So when we founded the company in 2012, we raised all this capital, we hired all these engineers, and the singular focus of the company was to bridge the gap between agents and their clients. And so with RealScout, we start with something that sounds kind of pedestrian, and that is the property alert. And so for anyone following along on Clubhouse, we're looking at a property alert here, but it's written using natural language. This one here says, "Hi, Natalia. Here's some recent activity in your search area. Ellis Street is a contemporary style home with an in-law quarters, a bonus room, and a formal dining room." So you can start to see that it's written using natural language. It sounds like it was written by an agent. And because of that, we get insane click-through rate, insane conversion. You have consumers clicking on these emails 17 times as frequently as the industry average for real estate emails. So just think about what would happen to your pipeline if you had 17 times as many consumers engaging with your content. And of course, these emails are branded for the brokerage, they're branded for the agent, but the emails are really just a gateway into an immersive broker branded, agent branded search experience. And this is really where the product starts to shine, because we start to collect insights. This whole webinar is about gathering insights and revealing data, actionable data. And you can see on this screen on the bottom right, it's asking the client, do you like this home? Do you not like this home? Why do you like this home? Do you love the kitchen? Do you love the view from the backyard? They can put in their favorite, address, like maybe it's a child's school, or maybe it's their favorite gym or restaurant, and we're going to calculate the commutes to and from those points of interest.
Andrew, quick question.
Sure.
Andrew, why the buyer would actually set this preference in your platform?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think another way to ask that question is, does anyone actually fill this stuff out? And I think that's a fair question too. And the answer is yes. On average, these home buyers are filling out these preferences 23 times throughout their home search. And the question becomes why? Why are they filling it out? And the reason is that the results get better. It's almost like, I'm sure many of the people following along or listening in on Clubhouse have used Pandora radio before. And do you like the song? Do you not like the song? You give thumbs up and you give thumbs down because the search criteria delivers better results. Now, to be very clear, if you say you don't like, I don't know, an open floor plan for some reason, we're not going to hide properties that don't have open floor plans. But what we are going to do is prioritize the ones that match your criteria. So when you're looking at your emails, when you're looking at the search results, that property that has the large backyard and the gourmet kitchen, that's going to be at the top of the email, so that it's really surfaced for you. A lot of brokers and agents love RealScout because we have some pretty unique search functionality that you probably won't find on the national portals, and you certainly won't find in the MLS. For instance, the ability to compare 2 or 3 listings side by side, room by room, where we put the kitchens and the living rooms side by side, room by room. It really is a beautiful and intuitive search experience. But I want to skip ahead a little bit to the insights and the data that we were talking about earlier, because once you have your clients searching on your branded version of RealScout, now you can unlock the insights. Earlier I gave the example that my client said that she was searching in one market, now she's searching in another market. You wouldn't know that if your client was searching on some third-party website, but with RealScout, you do get those insights, and you have a live activity feed of everything your clients are searching for, incoming showing requests. I can see that, Willie looked at this property and gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And there's also push notifications and text messages. So it makes it really easy to glean these insights.
And Andrew, one question before we get to the data intelligence and insights. So when the buyer is actually getting introduced to RealScout?
Sure. It's actually when the agent invites them to use the software. So today, the way it works is an agent meets a client at an open house, invites them to the MLS, which frankly leaves a lot to be desired. Instead, they should just invite them to RealScout. It's just a more robust, more beautiful experience. And frankly, agents have 2 options when it comes to setting property alerts for their clients. 95% of agents probably use the MLS, and then maybe 5% of them use some IDX widget or website, maybe something provided by their brokerage. And frankly, it doesn't compete with the portal experience. So
Andrew, the one use case is when the buyer's agents are inviting their prospective buyers to the platform RealScout to search for properties and get alerts on their preferences. And the other one when they actually visited an open house and they would like to have a listing link, right?
That's right. I think there's really 2 ways that consumers find out about RealScout. Either they were invited by their agent, or we also have integration. So this is kind of neat. If you're an advertiser on Zillow and you buy a lead from Zillow, the last thing you want is that client to go back to Zillow to see an advertisement for another agent. Yeah. So we have an integration with Zillow where not only will Zillow send over your lead over into our platform, but they will also tell us what that client was searching for on Zillow. And we will create a mirror property alert that will essentially start sending listings with your face and your branding on every one of those property alerts, but with the right criteria for the client.
Interesting. Now we're getting to data insights provided by RealScout for the folks on Clubhouse. We're streaming through Propy account here because we're doing live demos on Zoom as well. It's a little experiment, so stay tuned. Please be patient. Let us know if it works well for you. But I hope in 5 minutes we'll invite you to ask questions, be speakers together with us, and discuss the data intelligence topic.
Sure.
So yeah, Andrew, tell us more about the data.
I think so far we've talked about why RealScout is good to engage and convert buyers, right? If you captivate buyers using your software, you have complete visibility into the search behavior, and you can be a better real estate agent because of that. What we haven't really addressed yet, and I'm hoping there's some people on the line who focus on listings, because when it comes to listings, it's hard to really have a data-driven strategy around how to price or market a listing if you don't have visibility into home buyer demand. For instance, some of the most fundamental questions that I would have if I was selling my house is now a good time to sell? How many buyers out there would be looking for a home like mine? And also, how should I price my home? Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Andrew, we can answer that question. We have the comps. But in a volatile market, when there's a global pandemic, when there's shifts in inventory and swings in inventory, pulling out a comp from 6 months ago in my neighborhood is probably not going to convince me that what the market is doing. And that's because traditionally real estate agents have had historical or lagging indicators of market demand. But what if you had a real-time pulse on market demand? What if you knew, for instance, and I'm going to pull up a screenshot here of what we call our test the market feature. And this is where, my client, actually, I'll have a real-life example here. Let's say that we want to test this property in Denver, Colorado. It's a townhome. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, and the target price is $315,000. So what we can do is we can run this test the market account, and my client, and this is a real listing that's currently priced at $315,000, but I'm not sure that the listing agent knew that by simply decreasing the list price by only 5%, they would capture 13% more of the buyers in the market. These are 13% of the buyers. These are 13% that won't see this listing because they don't have their search criteria set to exceed $300,000. So these are the types of insights that will help us elevate our profession allow us to come to the table with a different air of sophistication. So this is, the aggregated buyer demand. These are buyers that are searching on RealScout. In markets like Denver, almost every major brokerage is already on the RealScout platform. So there's a lot of data that you have at your fingertips.
Awesome. So how can you understand more data about a specific buyer? Can you on RealScout?
Sure.
Andrew?
Yeah, as long as it's your buyer. So we're not going to be, sharing any personal information or demand data about any individual buyer unless it's yours. But when you invite your buyer to RealScout, you're going to have that activity feed where you can click into a particular client. Actually, I can, pull up a real example here. Let's say, Sandra client is one of my fictitious buyers here. And when I click on Sandra client, I can see on a map everywhere they've been searching. So clearly Sandra client is a little indecisive because she's looking in San Jose, California, and also San Francisco. But you can start to get details about their behavior, what their preferences are, and what we call a client profile, where I can see that Sandra really loves breakfast nook and a contemporary style home and doesn't really want to be near a freeway entrance or freeway exit. So this is the type of intel that you just, again, wouldn't get if your client is searching on a third-party platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So those realtors who are listening to us and they are mostly representing buyers, I think you have to urgently get into RealScout if you still didn't try it out. It looks fantastic. We'll distribute those videos, recordings throughout the network so that you can learn more. And also, of course, Andrew, how they can find you and subscribe to a demo.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram, just Flachner, AFLACHNER, or on Clubhouse. Probably the two best ways to keep in touch with what we're up to.
Awesome. And then as for listing agents, sellers agent, I think that when you are willing to win a listing, the presentation that you can make on HighNote would definitely have a lot of advantages. And now during the pandemic, we don't meet our customers in person as often. It's an incredible tool to just send the presentation and then get data, what the other party is interested to, what they react to, what they open, where they stay the most. Andrew, do you have anything else to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that RealScout used to be about only engaging and converting buyers, but now that we can reveal this buyer data, it's really useful for a listing agent, not only on the price demand charts that we talked about earlier, which helps you have a data-driven pricing strategy for your sellers, but we also have something called a market alert. And this is good for anyone in your sphere of influence, whether it's a buyer or seller, homeowner, renter, whoever they may be. I can set you up on a San Francisco market alert, for instance, and you can see an interactive heat map where you can zoom in and see where the buyers are concentrating their search. You can see over time how the market demand has changed. And I was just looking, for instance, at Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe in California is a really popular destination for a lot of people migrating out of cities and want some more nature. And so what I found interesting about this report is that, early in the pandemic, there was a really big surge of people leaving markets like San Francisco and heading to Tahoe and Reno. But when you actually look at the data, we reached a local maximum of interest kind of in the June, July, August timeframe. But in Q4, we actually saw a precipitous drop in the buyer demand in Tahoe. Wow. So again, these are insights you wouldn't really know if you were just looking at the historical data, but certainly if you have that real-time pulse on buyer demand, it can start to really help your clients maximize their options.
Fantastic. Absolutely love it. And so we'll go to the Clubhouse in a few minutes. For the folks that are here on the Zoom, stay tuned. Valley will stay with you to make the demo of the offer management. And those of you who already know about Propy offer management, I can't tell you how much excited I am about a potential integration or just usage of HighNote, where the offer itself could be prepared on HighNote. And then when you are doing offers, sending offers from Propy on behalf of your buyers or sellers, then you can actually get comparison of all the terms. You can get data, who and when accessed offers. So I'm sure Mark will discuss that offline, but I'm very, very excited about both companies here, how we can utilize data to grow our business. So thank you everyone here on the Zoom. We'll say goodbye and we'll go to Clubhouse only to get some questions.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you on Clubhouse.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, everybody who's left on the Zoom. I will now make a very quick demo of our offer management system, and then we can hop off the call. So as Natalia said, we're looking towards future integrations with HighNote and with other companies, but I'll very quickly show you how it looks on our end with offer management.